Okay, I will take you through this. It's the last presentation. So presenting last, everyone has said, has talked, and it becomes so difficult to talk after everyone. But I think it summarizes what has been talked about, and it's about a citizen-centric open data portal for rural digital users. So the focus here has been to say most of the discussions which I have listened to, most of them works well in a well-connected environment. I would say they are urban-based kind of solutions. These are solutions which work when everything is good, when you don't have load shedding, when you don't have internet challenges, when you don't have issues with data and what. But I want to challenge the people in the house to say, so what do you do in an area where it doesn't matter when you have your data, you can go with your data, your phone is loaded, but still where you have your airtime, you struggle to just get a connection to make a call. You have data, you struggle to get the internet and what. Now, but these people still need to access and get services. So how do we go about doing that? So in 20 minutes, I will try to do so. The presentation, okay, the definition is I will be brief on that. Then I'll use a case study. I came across a number of case studies for I don't know for what reason I ended up picking Ireland as an example which I can use for this. They are not even playing at World Cup, so I'm not sure why, but I ended up going to Ireland and picking what they have done in terms of open data. Then I also link to the different initiatives which are happening within the country in as much as open data is about. Then we talk of the key part now, which we call the citizen-centric for digital rural users. These are people whom, when you go to them, you want to sell a service. You say you have a mobile service. Before you even sell the service itself, you start to teach them how to use their mobile phones. It's their phones, but they can't use them. They struggle to use the devices that they have because they are not technologically equipped. So, but we still need these people to access the service. Open data is simple. We just, when it's open, it becomes, I guess we can all agree that an open check, when we talk, those who are in finance talk of an open check, if anything is open, it's dangerous, it's suicidal, it means criminals or crime, they walk in. And when it's open, we are saying it's free to use. It's about, it can be reused, it can be redistributed. But we also have a challenge to say, what information about me can you distribute or redistribute? And you find that our people in the rural areas, they have been victims of all this. This is why we see it's easy for many researchers to go in the villages and collect data from the villages. But now you find with access, you can freely access the information, use it, and what. We have a number of all these open data portal. Then the case study of the island now, I'll start with the island to just outline what they have done. So this is purely what they have. They have their open data portal for public services, which commenced in 2014 with a number of benefits, like your social, economic, political benefits, transparency, citizen engagement, improving risk management, business innovation, and so forth. Very aligned to their government policies, which is quite key. Then in them developing that open data portal, they had to follow, it's a process, it's a system. They had to follow a number of all this. They had a technical framework, what guides you to do the open data. They had to put up the governance structures, who reports to who does what. They had to formulate a working document, and most importantly, engage the public, engage the people. So for us, for me, I think those who were in the in the main session in the morning, there was issue of the users are the most important. Engagement is quite key. Then they have their national open strategy, which is a 5-year document, which guides the open data thing. There are 5 key components about how do we go about data licensing, how do we go about what type of data do we need, what type of standards do we use. They did all this, which is important. Then they have a number of people or a number of organizations that talks or that are stakeholders in as far as open data is involved or concerned. So these are all different stakeholders which are within. So the interesting question now, if I am to just start pausing, if we are to come back home, we ask yourself, who are the key stakeholders in open data? Who is driving open data in the country? Many of us will start looking at the floor because it's not clear. We really don't know. But when you get to other institutions, when they have, you know where to go. Okay, we might think of some, but it's not that something which is, you have set objectives and the different themes which covers a number of things, like your public bodies, which are critical, continue the engagement, and the provision of a framework, which is very key to say what guides us. So when you go to, if you go now to the how they go through, so they had to make sure that their framework is aligned. It has both technical and business people. So you take these and you would see, and when I go to us now, you will see the differences. So they already know that it's an open data portal. You can't do an open data portal with only business people or politicians or social science people. It has to be dominated by technical people because there's it's a lot of information. Cybersecurity issues come into play here. So they needed that. Then, of course, an engagement fund for you to come up with these things. It needs funding. You cannot just do without proper planning and funding and what. These things will make sense. The case will make sense. It teaches us, at times we do some of the initiatives. We will think of budgeting when we are at the middle of something. Then in the end, we won't succeed because that's why you see so many projects start and they never end, because possibly the money was budgeted but budgeted and not enough, or budgeted and misused, and all those things. So the open data meeting with the public bodies, very important. And now, if you look at our situation, okay, sorry, these are just some of the examples before I go to our situation. What I liked also about it is they cover a lot of different sectors. Your agriculture, your cultural, justice. They have an open data portal which literally offers or provides the services to the people. you can see that even if I am to do a round to say which service would you want, you will definitely find in one way or other it will fit in any of these. Then these are the different links which they have for their open data portal. I'm not going to do. These are the different data sets that they have defined and all know the format, and the format is set by the people who are using the data. Now back home, the open data portal. There's a lot which is happening. We have our portal which shows GDP, unemployment rate, and population for the government, which is good. We have the CSIR one, the DRISA one. I was just getting this online, which also is a data management planning tool available. Now you ask yourself, these are the different initiatives. We have promotion, the act which allows us to do open data. Now, when we want to ask ourselves now to say, who is involved in promoting an act? How many of us take time to read when they are doing a policy, when they circulate a policy, and share and say, give your input? How many of us interact with that? But these are things which come to us. So our policies are there, but they are made mainly by politicians, and we are not involved. We have a nice integrated ICT policy, which is a white paper. You find that very few times most of the technical people who have the skills are involved in this. We have a national data policy. We have the country is a member of the open data government partnership. The country again has submitted an action plan for 2020 to 2022. Most of the government action plans, which I personally know, if you hear it say in 2020 or to 2022, possibly it came in 2022 and it's about to end and no one will implement it. They have a number of platforms which are available, which allows us to access the government information. Now, these are the different things. When you look at them, you ask yourself, we have seen that there are a number of open data portals. I think some of them have been shared. We have a lot of information from weather, from what is available. But they are established but working in silos. Lack of collaboration with key stakeholder. Mine in this presentation, the key stakeholder is the rural citizens. Then many citizens, when we engage them, we ask them, do you know about this? And when you go to government, they say no, they don't want to work with us. When you go to the citizens, they say no, the government has forgotten about us. So it's like we are just, there's the disorder. If you look at it, academics also, they say, no, we don't know who is doing what and all that. So there is no coordinated open data initiatives from one or centralized thing. Now, what is it that we call now citizen-centric open data portal for rural? We are just saying, let our people be at the center of what you want to develop. They also need to access the different portals. And you ask yourself that the citizen-centric, it's about them, it's about the people. So you have to consider them. It's about their needs. So what do you do? When you go there, this is purely a study based on engagements with the communities and what. When you go there, you ask them, what is it or government service that you want? They talk of health services. Okay, nowadays they've started talking about health services because they are seeing that some of the traditional ways they used to belong to or are understanding are not working. They have seen the importance of health services. They would want immigration services, agricultural services, finance services, education and training, and all services which can assist them to at least get employment. They would want those. These are their needs. So when you ask yourself now to say, how do they want to be involved? They want those services. So how can they be involved to contribute? What do? We do the things here. I come from Eastern Cape, so we do everything. We plan here in Pretoria. Then we send a document to Eastern Cape through the government department. You even send it in English. Those people can't read English. They don't want it in English. So they are not going to read it. But we have sent it. It's a challenge. And it's because we have not asked them how they want to read. What is their role? What role do they play for them to be able to trust whatever you want to give them? So who are the key stakeholders in all that, and how do they engage citizens? So you find that most of the key stakeholders, they do it, but they do it without them. You work with them, let them develop, write on their own. If they are going to write it in East Coast, let it be so. You translate it if you want it in English, because that's the best way they want themselves to express open data skills, because you can see that it becomes too complicated to have open data and what. So you need to have them have the skills. Now, when you do it, it's important to understand their social and cultural dynamics. Very important, because at times we miss it there. And you have to equip them so that they have the skills to manage and own the type of open data or services which you are giving them. That is how they will be able to use. So I would like to say, as I conclude, say the open data portal, which can be designed for the rural needs, can only be developed by the rural people themselves. Whatever we try to do, yes, it provides solution, but not solution enough, because it won't be sustainable because they are not involved. And the moment those people are not involved, they won't acceptance will be difficult. So let's go for a citizen-centric driven approach where you go to the people, you understand their needs, and get to know. This will help the solutions which we are trying to. The local dynamics are very key. I put an example of language there. If you develop it in English, they will tell you that they won't be able to read fluently, and then they make mistakes and they don't accept the thing. All in one kind of centralized platform, it's quite very good for them. We have a number of platforms where we have set up at rural schools, where the community go to the school when they want to read about home affairs. They read, they what. These initiatives will help them. If it's a digital infrastructure, we are saying let it be visible for them, because the reason why they don't trust mobile banking is just simple. They don't know where their details are being stored. Where do the details go when they say? If you tell them no, the bank has secure thing, they won't trust. They want to see the infrastructure in. So if we want these open data portals to work for their services, let's then go and develop those areas and establish centers, open data centers in those the island one, which caters for all the different services which our people or the people in the rural areas would want. I'm seeing the clock. It's saying 9 seconds, 6 seconds, and what? I thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, Prof. I actually do think that can become quite a hot topic, and it's really often that we don't see the user, their experience and how it's being designed for them being taken into mind. Everybody just runs in their own little silos and designs for their own people. Prof, on behalf of the RISA, we'd like to give this to you to say thank you very much for your presentation, your contribution. Wonderful day. All right. Just another hand for Prof. Right, everybody, that's the end of the sessions for the RISA track. I'd like to know if there are any questions or comments that you'd like to make.
Thank you, Professor, for your presentation. The last slide, yeah, praising Ireland for the governments tend to subscribe to the Open Data Initiative just because they're required to do that. And give you an example, in the UK, for instance, when there was a financial crisis back in 2008, 2008, the banks, got us into all that trouble, and nobody could go to them and tell us, you guys, you're earning a lot of money. Can you give us your KPIs? Of course, they say, no, we can't. We cannot, because we're not going to reveal our secrets to our competitors. That's one reason. The second reason is it takes a lot of time and money. It costs us money to generate those KPIs to give you. So that is the type of open data that is useful to us. For us to know exactly what is happening inside the banks, have to get to the point that, yeah, that's very important. But we won't get that data because they don't want to give it to us. The NHS, the National Health System, the same. We've got excellent system, but we've got issues. And but if you go and ask for that type of, but the government is ready and happy to publish on the the per capita expenditure, the utilization, capital utilization, because you're concerned why all these sort of things happen. And you believe that if I give you that, you might be able to advise me as a CEO of ESCOM to improve our performance. And I say, look, I haven't got money to do that. What would you say to me?
Okay, so your example is more to the ESCOM situation. So for me, the reason why I picked the open data for the rural people is to say what information, what success stories, what is it that they want to know. So if, for example, they start knowing about their community, they start knowing about the challenges they are having in their communities, it makes them feel part of the data which they own. So for the rural people, the information which we have about for example, the GDP, like, it doesn't make sense to them. They don't even understand what GDP is. What does it help for them? So it talks to the content which we need. Majority of the people there, what stresses them is to wake up at 3 a.m., take a bus, or the bus might not even come. It will come maybe at 6 or at 7. Yet they were there from 2 a.m. waiting for the bus to be taken to the next town where they are going to apply for a birth certificate or what for the child, only to go to that office and be told that no, you have left a letter from the headman. Your headman must write a letter to say you should what, and they go back after paying the little 550 rand which they only had for for the entire month. So those are the type of services they will require. That's what we are saying now. In as much as the open data portal will include things like me and you will need ESCOM. Actually, we will need to see what is ESCOM, how are they spending their monies, and how are they paying, how much are they paying. Yesterday when they were surrendering the popular report, the one of in the village, they have their own interest and type of data. So I would say to your question, the information which might be required when you want to call and be transparent, if you are a public entity and what, definitely it's important to share that information, because it will assist. Because as it is now in this country, no one really know what is happening with load shedding. At one point they tell us that they are running out of diesel. They are running out of, they don't have, once the diesel is sorted, they bring, no, we don't have skills. But if they were transparent and sharing all the information and all that, possibly it will help. But for African governments, I will tell you, it's very difficult. The word transparent is something which is very sort of secretive, and for political reasons, they also would not be easily disclose everything. You will not get the answer.
Right. Are there any other questions or comments, perhaps, in the audience? If we have missed perhaps an online question, I think we can follow up afterwards and send that to the speakers as well. I think everybody, thank you for your time. That is then obviously the close of the Rita track. The keynote address is in the main auditorium, if I'm correct. Yes, at 4:30, so 16:30. Right. Thank you very much, everybody, again.